I got a new toy. This is the Skil 14 amp plunge and fixed base router. Available probably at your local blue big box store or some of the other ones. Definitely available online, and it is extremely affordable, which is part of the reason why I bought it. Not only at the time of my purchase is this thing $100 less than its competition, but it has all of the same stuff. It has the live tool indicator, electronic feedback, so it keeps a constant RPM based upon how much workload it's under. It also has soft start. It has a 14 amp, 2.5 horsepower motor, digital speed control, which is kind of neat. It also has lit LED lights in this area. Most of the competition does not have that. And I think it looks slick. Maybe I'm a sucker for the black and red. Could be a Sean Chan thing from my Wheel of Time days, except this is a little too bright of red and this is black, not super dark green. But not only does it have that stuff while being cheaper, it also comes with a parallel guide, dust extraction for the fixed base, dust extraction for the plunge base, and a 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch collet. A lot of the competition doesn't include that stuff, so not only is this cheaper, but then you have to go out and buy that stuff separately with the competition. You don't have to do that with this. I didn't need a new router, but I was shocked that this was available at the price that it is. It has the reviews that it has, and it comes with the stuff that it comes with. So I went out, I bought it with my own money, and I'm going to put it to the test because I kind of wanted a new router, even though I don't need one. All right, you unboxing junkies, let's unbox this. So I've already read the reviews on it, and one thing I know that is coming is the box doesn't include very much. It's pretty much just the parts that I listed off to you. The router, the plunge base, the fixed base, a manual. Looks like this is the dust extraction stuff. And I can see the edge guide down there. It doesn't come with a case. This wasn't even taped together. You know, normally there's a piece of tape here and you have to cut that, but you actually cut through the whole cardboard tab because you're trying to cut through the piece of tape and it's just a big mess. But anyway, so I'm guessing those are some of the things that they cut costs on to make this as inexpensive as it is. But personally, I don't care because I find it really ridiculous to put these things in their cases and pull them in, pull them out, pull them in, pull them out. If I'm gonna use this thing often, I want it easily accessible, not within a case. So that's a win for me. I save a little money and I don't have to have a big giant piece of plastic hanging around somewhere. So, manual. These are the little dust extraction bits. Oh, there's something floating around in there. That's the micro adjustment nodule. Your plunge base. Ah, here we go, another one. This is the edge guide, or the parallel guide as they call it. But it looks like we have to assemble it, so saved a little bit of money there. It's like almost like halfway IKEA. Just, you know, the stuff that's important, they didn't make you assemble, like the electronics. And the router. Oh, and here's the other part of the parallel guide. Don't need no stinking box. And a wrench. Right off the bat, again, this thing I think is just slick looking. That kind of charcoal black, that nice red. It's just, I've been watching too much Clint's Reptiles lately, so the first thing I want to say is that this is stinking rad, but I'm not Clint.
Well, hi there.
If you haven't seen Clint's stuff, I highly suggest you do. I'm not even into reptiles or any of the stuff that he reviews, but his channel's really good. So this thing has weight to it while still being really nice and compact. Like, that's part of the other reason I wanted to get this, even though I don't need another router, is it's more powerful than my current router while being smaller and lighter. So, nimble, easy to move around. Gotcha! Can't do that with your old junk, massive routers. And we got the plungy boy. Oh, interesting. Huh, okay. So I'm used to having to press this lever to press down. And then when I lift up, it locks. This one's different. It's just in pressy mode. And this is what locks it in position. So I kind of like that, actually. I don't have to be fussing with this, I can just press down. This has the micro adjust already installed. This one is missing it, so I'm guessing that's where this goes. Okay, cool. That's assembled. Get these in frame because they're so good looking. There's your edge guide. So what I'm really interested in, and the other thing, the other reason why I really like this and why I wanted to get it, the base for it comes stock with the little recess to fit the Porter cable style bushings. You don't have to make a base for it. You don't have to buy a separate base for it. It comes with it. Bam, now you can hook a dust collection up to it. And then this has one of these little biscuit guys that actually screws in. Well, it pops in and it screws in. I'm not gonna screw it in right now though, because I'm not gonna use it at the moment. But it comes standard. Like this stuff should be standard on every router. Get with the competition. Just to show you I'm not selling snake oil. Oh, that's a nice fit too. Boom. Bushing. Integrated into the mounting. So the first thing I know I'm going to use it for, I need a plunge base. And switching it from fixed base to plunge base, from what I understand, is pretty easy. You just pop that out, push this little button. Oh yeah. Oh nice. It doesn't have, my old router has this stupid little like, you have to kind of twist it in and then slide it down on the pin. This is just smarter. Of course I say that and then I show how dumb I am. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. Pop that out. Where's the pin? Bing, bang, boom. We got a plungy boy that won't plunge. What did I do? Oh, my dumb ass over here has the depth stop engaged. There. Now we got a plungy boy. It's got good action to it. Oh, and I love these handles too, these grips. Instead of those like actual handles, I like these little knobby grips. And they've got a nice rubbery texture to them, so like, they almost feel sticky. They're not, because there's no residue left over on your hands. There's grip to them. Put your hands there, they're not slipping. Well, hold on. Sweaty palms. That's what we're trying to recreate here. Still super grippy. Here's a side-by-side comparison with my old Craftsman router, and it turns out I was completely wrong. This is not smaller. It's actually just a hair taller, and they weigh about the same, which that's actually a good thing for this. That means it has the same amount of weight as an old, well-built machine, so hopefully that means this is well-built. But it is a little bit smaller in this dimension. The handles don't stick out as far as the Craftsman, but I mean, it's negligible. When I said that it's lighter and more compact, it's actually not. It's about the same size. It's just a little bit more compact in this direction. But I still like the way that these feel better than these, especially because this isn't super comfortable to hold it backwards if you ever need to. Whereas this one is pretty, not ambidextrous, but universal, I guess. You can hold it front and back. All right, dun, 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 inaugural plug-in. Cool. See this little light right there? That's green. That's what lets you know that this is a live tool. It's got power to it. Mess your fingers up. I'm really not sure how I feel about this. Like, I don't know if it's a gimmick or it's actually going to be useful to me, but supposedly you can set the type of bit you're using, the type of wood you're using, and it'll automatically set the RPMs to what it thinks is the optimal speed. So I know I'm gonna do a straight bit. It is not that big. 0 to 1 inches. Okay, and it's gonna be an MDF. So that, oh yeah, see? It does 22,000 for a hardwood, 25,000 for a softwood. Boom, I'm set. This is actually pretty neat. And those buttons, did you hear that? Has some response to it.
Tactile.
This thing's probably pissed at me, like, why do you keep trying to set me? You already set me. And they were smart. Imagine that. These are recessed enough that when you flip this thing around and put it on its head, you're not going to mash the buttons or the screen. And this part right here, so I can already tell that one of the downsides about this is this black rubbery stuff. Dust is already like all over it. It's going to be a pain to keep clean, but whatever. It's rubberized too. So when you flip this thing over and put it on its head, it's not going to skate and slide all over the place. It's got some grip to it, which I'm digging this thing all over. I don't have a bit in it, but I want to flip it on and hear what it sounds like, because it's supposed to have a soft start. It starts up pretty soft. Ooh, you see those little lights too? You see those lights? Let's take a look at those lights. Yeah. If you've been using a router for a while, you already know. You already know just how valuable that's going to be, being able to see what you're doing, have light on it. If you've never used a router before, that's crazy valuable. This is normally a dark pit of despair where you normally can't see anything, and obviously don't want to put anything in there when there's a bit going on unless you want that thing chewed up. Sometimes I wish there was a way to turn the light on without turning the machine on, because oh man, that would be so valuable for lining up your cut. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, damn it, it's right there. So there's no way to turn these on without the motor running. So far, that is literally the only bummer or thing I've been disappointed about this machine so far. I've loved everything else about it. That one kind of irks me, but still, oh my God, this is gonna be nice to have actual light. The machine is unplugged. We can tell that because there's no LED lights, there's no green light indicator, and I unplugged it. And it comes with a 1/2-inch collet installed. So before I really do anything crazy with this, I want to see if the base plate is centered on here. And this is one that has that little indent button, so you can lock the motor to make your adjustments to the collet, which I actually prefer because you only need 1 wrench. You don't need 2 wrenches, and you're not smashing your thumb together and all that jazz. Just tight enough for 1 finger to pull on it. Let's see how centered this plate is. I'm using my very scientific fingertips, calibrated to 1/8,000 of an inch. I know that sounds like bullshit, but the human finger actually can sense stuff that's like super, super, super tiny. So it's not obviously scientific, but you can get really close with it. And this feels pretty centered onto the base. Snug those up, pop it back down, this thing out. There we go. Now we can install our actual bit. 1 finger. It's pretty well balanced when it's on its head. And like I said before, that rubber bit, like if I give it just a little bit of downward pressure and try to push, it grips. It doesn't want to slip and slide around on you. I actually really like that. That was really smart of them. The other thing that I didn't show you is this little chip guard. This is slick. Bam, it's in. Oh, you need to get it out of the way so that you can mess with a bit. This is just, you obviously have your 3-point turret, and then your little micro adjust down there. The measurements that they have on here I actually kind of dig that they're not super accurate because you shouldn't rely on these in the first place. Let's say you want to plunge 3/8 of an inch. So you plunge this to the bottom of your workpiece. We're going to pretend that this is a 3/8 inch bit. You put your 3/8 inch drill bit in there. Drop that bad boy down, lock it in place. Now you got 3/8 of an inch. Okay, we found two things, I guess, that I don't like about this, or mildly irritate me, I should say. Like so mild that I don't even know why I'm bringing them up. Number one, the lights can't come on without you having the motor running. Dust collection boot. Oh, can it not go in without? Maybe I need to put this in without a bit in. Oh, wait, no. Okay, just gotta fiddle around with it. Dust collection boot, you have to actually screw in, but that could be a good thing because if it's not gonna pop out on you and get like caught up in here. Cool, just like that, you got dust collection in. Inserting the parallel guide is also really easy. It literally just goes in these two little holes. These two little cam or kind of locking nuts that lock it in place. And she's solid. And a little pro tip if you end up getting one of these, the distance between the outside of the parallel guide and the front of the parallel guide is 4 7/8. That means if you want, in this case we're going to be writing a dado, if you want the dead center of your dado to be 1 1/4 from the edge, you just need to measure 1 1/4 plus 4 7/8, which is 6 1/8. So I can just pull that out to the center of the bit and lock it in. So far, so good. I haven't put it through its paces, obviously, because I've just done 2 8-foot long dados in MDF, which is pretty soft. I can't really put a verdict on it yet. The dust collection, meh, but I was also kind of setting it up for failure. Dust collection in a dado is never very good. Not to mention, this is so narrow that half of these holes on the top and bottom were exposed, which are kind of stopping it from getting good suction. So I'm not set that the dust collection on this is crap yet. Dust collection on routers and period is bad unless you're a Festool and you want to spend, I think 10 times as much as this cost. I wish, don't have the funds for it. Before I need to get this video out, I'm not gonna be able to put it through its genuine paces of hardwoods, birch plywood, all the different types of bits. I do think at this stage I have no intention of getting rid of this. I'm gonna have it for a while. Probably gonna get rid of my old router actually. So maybe I'll circle back in about a year and do a after year review after I've really put it through its paces, because I have a lot of router projects in mind. Lots of mortise and tenons, maybe some slab flattening, maybe some joint jigs. Not, but you know, like woodworking joint jigs. So I'm gonna do a few more things with it. We'll circle back, give you a quick recap. And here's that quick recap, because this video is already pushing 20 minutes long, so I'll keep it short and sweet. If a buddy came up to me and handed me $400 cold hard cash and said, go get me a good router, I would go down to the store, I would pick this one up, and then I'd spend the rest of that $170 on good bits and dust collection. The thing is, if you wouldn't spend somebody else's money on something, you shouldn't spend your own. I would gladly spend somebody else's money on this. I know I haven't had it that long and I haven't done that much work with it, but everything that I've thrown this thing at, it has chewed right through. As far as I can tell, this is gonna be a quality router that'll be in my shop for quite a while. If you really wanna see all the jobs, materials, and projects that this router can handle, the best way to do that is just subscribe. I know that sounds corny and gimmicky, but seriously, I have projects coming up. In fact, I think the next video that's gonna be out in about a week or so will be almost entirely router based. With that said, I appreciate you indulging this unboxing first impressions review video that I don't do that often, but maybe I'll do more of them. And in the meantime, keep up the good work.